What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the driver mod. This is my 2024 Mustang GT, and we're going to be giving you guys the results of our oil analysis that we've done. We've done 2 oil changes on the car, and we're going to be answering the question, do you need to do a break-in oil change on these new Gen 4 Coyotes? Stay tuned. All right, so just a little background info. We bought this car brand new in December 2023. We put 600 miles on it, and I decided to do the car's first oil change. There was no reason behind it. It was more just to get a baseline for the car because I knew I wanted to see, do break-in oil changes need to be done on these cars. Now, for that first oil change, we used Ford recommended Motorcraft 5W30. And I did that purely because I wanted to keep the variables reduced in terms of the wear. The cars come with Motorcraft from the factory, so I wanted to put Motorcraft back in there just to keep things aligned. Then we drove the car another 2,600 miles and did the car's second oil change at about 3,300 miles, like 3,356. We took another sample and we sent that off, and we have the results from both of those samples, from the first oil change and the second oil change, ready to show you and go over right here. See, there we are, Gen 4 Coyote. Now, we did swap on the second oil change to Amsoil 5W30 Signature Series. We're done with the oil sampling and analysis, so now we can go ahead and change and put the good oil in there that can really hold up to these oil temperatures that these cars see, especially if you have a non-performance pack GT. You don't have any sort of engine oil cooler, and just with some spirited driving on the highway, your oil temperatures get up to over 240, 250, 260 degrees in a very, very short time. So Motorcraft, I know from my personal experience in testing and analysis and working at the dealership, Motorcraft starts to break down about 230, 240 in terms of oil temperature, and the viscosity starts to degrade. That is probably the reason why they went from 520 to 530. That's my main suspected reason, is why they upgraded the oil weight, because the oil temperature's getting so high. Amsoil Signature Series is good to over 300 degrees oil temperature before it starts to thin out, so we've got a nice good base oil in there so that we don't have to worry about oil thinning out when we're spiritedly driving. Now, here are the results of those oil analysis tests. Here is the third-party analysis of the first and second oil samples. Here you can see the date that they were sampled, the date that they received the samples, how much time each oil change interval was. So this was from new to 600 miles, changed at 600, and then did another 2,600 miles. Contaminants, fuel dilution is about the same. The only reason you're going to really see fuel dilution go up is if you're idling the car a lot. The viscosity, as you can see, already starting to break down, and that's with the Motorcraft oil, because it came, with Motorcraft from the factory. We changed it the first time to Motorcraft, so this second sample, it also had the Motorcraft 530, and just in 2,600 miles, that viscosity is already breaking down. But moving up here, this is the primary area we want to focus on. So here you can see how many wear metals and parts per million were in that first sample, and contaminants. So this is mostly from the engine breaking in. Now, what you want to look for is a decrease from sample 1 down to sample 2, and as you can see across the board, virtually everything dropped, which is a good sign. The aluminum here, you can see 1 to 3 parts per million. That could be anything. So as you can see, 600 miles oil change, and then 2,600 miles. So we went 4 times the distance with that second oil change, but the wear metals, especially that copper, dropped off tremendously. So just in seeing that, and then you do have the contaminants from the engine being assembled. That's mostly where that silicone is, the gasket maker. I mean, if you can look back at some of my older videos, I cut open the filter. There was a lot of blue silicone in the filter. So pretty much what I can conclude from these oil samples is, yes, you absolutely need to do a break-in oil change. Looks like it should be done anywhere from the 5 to 1,000 mile range. Change the oil, and then you should see your wear metals completely drop off there. And it looks like we might even need to do another oil change looking at that, that's still a pretty high amount of silicone in there. So doing an oil change on this car, pretty straightforward. 10 quarts, 5W30. Definitely recommend switching over to Amsoil. Drop a link to the video I made on how to do an oil change on the Gen 4 Coyotes in the description below. If you've never done an oil change on one of these cars, it's super simple. You do need a few more tools with this Gen 4 versus the Gen 3s and before, because you do have to drop the entire lower engine splash shield. They don't give you an access panel to get to the oil filter. And they did go back to a metal oil pan, so 15mm socket for the drain plug, a bunch of 8mm screws for the splash shield, oil funnel, drain pan, jack stands, and that's it. That's it, guys. That's all I wanted to go over with in this video with the 2024 Mustang Gen 4 Coyotes. We can confirm, basically looking at the data, you do need to do a break-in oil change. So somewhere between 500 and 1,000 miles is when I would recommend to do that oil change based on what we just looked over. Drop some comments down below. Let me know what you've done with the car. And definitely let me know if you found this video helpful. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks again.